record this. Okay, so hopefully you are here for Market Your Business Like an Ad Agency on a Small Business Budget. Okay, so I'm Mel, and I work here at Kirkwood Public Library, but my background is that I spent 13 years in advertising with focus on healthcare and software. I spent 3 years as a small business owner myself, and I got my master in library information science with a focus on consumer research and behavior. Also, I am a pizza and ice cream eater, so if you need to bribe me, I am easily bribed by food, especially foods I love. In today's session, we are going to talk about direct mail and email, social media and digital marketing, TV, radio, podcasts, billboards, and sponsorships, and basically how you can find free data, free resources that can help you really market your business without having to hire someone. All right, so let's talk about direct mail and email. A lot of people may say that direct mail is dying, but if you check your mail daily, you will know that that is not true. And I always tell people that, you know, big companies wouldn't do direct mail if it didn't work. They wouldn't throw that money out the window just to throw it out the window. My biggest example of this is IKEA. Still sends catalogs. IKEA wouldn't send catalogs if it didn't prompt people to make purchases. So one of the things I always tell people when they come in the library is to stop paying for customer lists. You don't have to pay for that. The libraries have access to resources where you can actually download lists of people based on certain behaviors or interests. And I'm going to demo some of these items. So three of the resources are Merchant Intellect, Reference Solutions, and DemographicsNow. So Merchant Intellect is available at St. Louis County Library. So you'll see the different libraries that have access to these. I always like to start and say as well that our region is very library plentiful. And if you have a card at Kirkwood Public Library, you can get a card at St. Louis County, St. Louis Public, St. Charles, and actually now you can actually get a card at the Jefferson County Library as well. So we have reciprocal agreements. And what this means is I, for example, have 4 library cards. And I have that because I want to be able to access as much of the data and the different resources that are available to me as I can. So while I will talk about some things that are available here, I'm also going to share all the library love for the places around town. So Merchant Intellect, I will go over, that's at St. Louis County Library. Reference Solutions is available at St. Louis Public, St. Louis County, St. Charles, and U City. And then DemographicsNow is available at the 3 big systems as well. So what do these resources do? Well, when you go to Merchant Intellect, it will ask you to log in with your library card. And if you scroll down and you go to the consumer data, this is where you can actually pull a list of people that you would want to direct mail to. And also people online, if you want to drop your questions in the chat or just unmute yourselves and feel free to ask a question at any time, please do so. Let me make sure my sound is on. It is. So just act as though you were here in the room with us if you just want to interrupt me and ask any questions of any time. When I do this demo, I always use a different metro area than St. Louis because I don't want it to be creepy and all of a sudden pull up somebody and have them be like, that's me. So we're going to do Albuquerque, New Mexico. And then we're going to pretend that our product is targeting dog owners. So we want to target dog owners. And The other thing that I want to do in here is I want to set an estimated income, and my product is going to be aimed at people who own dogs, but they're healthy dog treats for people on a budget. So I'm going to add in that, and here we go. And it's going to show me that there are 11,000 people that meet those qualifications. So if we click search, here's my list of people that I can send a postcard to. Now, one of the things you may notice is that some of these have phone numbers attached to them. These are not scrubbed for the do not call list. So this also is powered by super pages. So it is kind of used as a white pages as well. So don't use these phone numbers to call on people, unless it's like your old friend that you're trying to find, same way we used to use phone books. But the addresses are good to do a direct mail piece too. And then you can download those to an Excel file, and that's what you would take to the direct mail house or whoever was going to do that mailer for you, or you could do it yourself. If you want to do business to business, there's a resource here called Reference Solutions, and we can do the same thing that we just did to pull a list of consumers. We can pull a list of businesses to mail them. And Chrissy, the other one I want to point out specifically to you is the US healthcare. You can actually pull a list of doctors by their specialty. So you can like say, I'm looking for dermatologists. But we are going to focus on the businesses. And so if you wanted to do the quick search, you could do a quick search for a particular business. But if you want to pull a list that you can mail to, you want to do an advanced search. And I'm going to use an example. Somebody came in and they owned a cleaning company, and they knew that they wanted to clean office buildings that were no bigger than a certain square footage because it was just them, and they didn't want to clean giant buildings and have to hire a bunch of people right away. So in this tool, there are a lot of things you can filter by. We can type in a keyword and we can say office building. We can set our area. So if there were a certain radius that you didn't want to go past, let's say, you know, your location is located somewhere and you don't want to go more than 10 miles, you can do that. You can say, I don't want to leave the St. Louis area, which is what I'm going to look at. We're going to look at the St. Louis metro area. Or you could even say, hey, I know I have people in a 3-state radius. I have people in Missouri. You could pull those buildings as well. But you can actually search by square footage, and you can say, I only want to clean buildings that are less than 5,000 square feet. And you'll see is there are 26 buildings that come back. And here's your list that you can then call on. Now, because these are businesses, the phone numbers are okay to call versus consumers, and also send a direct mail list as well.
On the previous page, I saw web results. Was that like web addresses or?
No, so one of the things, so unfortunately, none of the resources that we have has email addresses.
Okay.
And to skip ahead, I will say that building your own organic email is the best way to go. Purchasing email lists is usually 90% of the cases a really bad idea. The reasoning is that those people are not your customers. And so if you if you purchase an email list of 10,000 or whatever it is, and then you send an email out to those people, if 4,000 of those people mark it as spam, it's going to start going into, because they're not your customer, it's going to start going into the spam of people who have signed up for you, for your email list, because Gmail has now decided that your stuff is spam. So it'll start sending your message just directly to spam, even for people who are your customers and have opted in and do want to talk to you. So in general, buying an email list, not a super great idea. If it's something like, hey, I just opened a new location and you want to let people know in a certain mile radius, hey, I'm doing this, and you send it once, just to let people know, usually pretty safe. But if you continue to then try to market to people, that's when people start going, I didn't sign up for this, like, and they really hit you where it hurts. But yes, so this is how you can pull a list of businesses. And then if you were interested in pulling a list of, for example, businesses that are veteran owned or something like that, there's also a tool called DemographicsNow. And up here I have set my location as St. Louis, Little Rock, and Kansas City, and I'll show you a little later why. But we can pull a list of businesses. And in here, if you choose minority ownership, this is where you can start to target women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, green certified businesses, Black-owned businesses. So if you wanted to work with businesses that were like your own business, you can. So you can see I've selected all the kind of veteran options here, and then you can select search. And it'll give you the results for those businesses that you can then send a mailer to or call them as well. You can also, in the same database, pull a list of nonprofits. So if you wanted, this is really comes in handy when people are looking for a list of churches or schools to reach out to. I find that to be kind of the main reason to use this, but you can pull different types of nonprofit organizations in here as well. But then you could pull those lists and you could walk away and call on different schools if you were targeting schools. On the consumer side in DemographicsNow as well, if you wanted to, you could go to this map feature and you could actually create other stuff off in the meantime. You can actually go in here and create a heat map. So if you wanted to pull a list of people who gave money to nonprofits, you could see on a heat map where they are giving. And you could then highlight those areas and create your own geography basically, and highlight the larger dark red areas. And then go and pull a household list. So you can do a little layering with the data as well. Like, I know more people who donate to nonprofits live in this area. I'm going to pull a list of the people there and I'm going to send them a postcard hoping that they will donate to my nonprofit. So that's a couple of ways that you can use and put together a really good direct mail piece for free. But you might say, but Mel, okay, that's great. I have the mailing list, but I don't know how to create a postcard. I'm not a graphic designer. How do I do that? One tool that we use here at the library is called Canva. And it's a really great tool if you know of it. A lot of people use it because it is free. And you sign up and they have all of these templates. So really great. You'll see some say Pro. So it's kind of a freemium product. So some things are paid and some things are not, but you can very easily use the free ones that don't have the little crown and get a nice postcard design. You just go in to customize. And then it gives you the design, and then you just go in and you say, if it fits, and you can kind of adjust it if it doesn't. And you can go in and move things around and make it look how you want and just replace your text. And then it's ready to go, and it's, you know, the size, and you can then print that off yourself. You can print it through Canva, you can take it to a printer here, you can use any of the millions of printers that exist online, and have it ready to go for when you're ready to mail it. The other thing I always like to point out as well, when I'm talking about creating the postcard, is that here in Canva, a lot of the images are what cost money. And so you might say, oh, I don't have money to hire a photographer and take pictures. And yeah, get it. So there are other websites like Unsplash, Pixabay, and Pexels that have free images that you can use. You can do a keyword search, you can kind of browse their different topics. And a lot of times these websites really just require you to maybe put a little note underneath the photo that says image by so-and-so. And then you're able to use it for free. So really look at these photos. They're also really great to use on websites. If you need some kind of stock imagery things for your website. But definitely look into them if you are using, creating a postcard. And then as far as email goes, that is just my note from earlier about organic email lists are better than paid email lists. Organic just means you grow it yourself. And there are a lot of different ways you can do that. You can put something on your website that's a downloadable that, you know, maybe you create a one-sheeter that is top 10 tips for how to style food for your Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. And then in order for people to download that, they have to sign up for your newsletter and opt in. So you can get people to sign up that way. You can also just put a sticky thing on your website that's like, sign up for an email list here. Anytime somebody makes a purchase from your website, if they purchase wigs or products or things like that, you can automatically have it, you know, they have to opt out or opt in to your email list for purchases, things like that. Those are the best ways to grow your email list, because those are people who want to engage with you and have an interest in what you are putting forth. When it comes to digital marketing, so Demographics Now, we kind of talked a little bit about finding out where people are, but I'll go deeper into that. And then we have a tool here at Cocoa Public Library called Statista. And it is a very cool tool. And it has a feature called Consumer Insights. And it's a really great way to find out what media people are listening to and how you should be reaching them. So one of the great things that ad agencies do, right, is they figure out where your customer is. And now you can feel empowered to have that same information. Demographics Now can also show you where people are performing certain types of behavior. It's great for targeting social media, YouTube, doing something called geofencing, which is where you can target an area, kind of like put a little fence around it and target using display ads digitally. And then, or just regular display campaigns for digital marketing. So, we're back to my demographics now. And we'll go back to our map over here. And let's say I have a product and I want to target people who are work from home. And for whatever reason, demographics now gets a little slow when I am on Zoom. Okay. So we have a product that we want to sell to people who work from home. Usually not this slow. And that's where we're going to look at our daytime population. We're going to say civilian 16 plus work from home. And then we're going to wait for the map to update. And this is where we can then say, okay, great. A lot of people work from home over in this like Cottleville, St. Charles-y area, in this Chesterfield area. And then like, it's still pretty dark pink, kind of even in Kirkwood to Pear, Clayton, in those areas. So then when you go to your YouTube campaign or your, just social media campaign, you can go in there already kind of knowing where you want that ad to run. Because you're like, okay, I want to target these work from home people and I already know where they are. So you come in with a little bit of knowledge that will help you work with whatever Facebook targeting and whatever YouTube targeting is telling you to do. But you have this additional data that it can help work with you. One of the things you asked about is we're looking for like women in a certain age. You can do that as well in an advanced report. So you could pull. So you could then. And this is where a librarian can come in handy, because if you don't know where something is in one of these tools, it's always really great to reach out to your librarian and go, hey, I'm looking for this data. Where in here is this? And we can help you find it. So we can look by age and we can say women. And we can go down to detail. We can look at age 1 year. We can look at ranges. If I go back here, I can actually create a custom variable that would then say, I want women between these ages, and then to pull, and it would tell you exactly in the area that you were looking. We could change the geography to whatever area you're looking at, and then it would tell you how many women are in that area. So you can really target it down, and in demographics now, you can target down to a census tract. You can get really, really minute data. So you can really work with it and be flexible. On the Statista side, so this is Statista and Consumer Insights. And clear everything out. I already created a target group of working from home people. And this is where we can figure out what media people are interested in. So I can then come over here and let's say, I'm interested in figuring out what media they're looking at, and also with their retail, how are they shopping as they work from home. So I can look at different demographics. So I can find out who they are. They have different life stages or generations who are working from home. You can really create a really deep marketing avatar, which is what they call it, but it's basically just a profile of who you're looking to reach. And also see different retail attitudes towards shopping. And so then you can come down here and you can say, oh, most of the people working from home are Gen X and millennials. Here are their attitudes towards shopping. What is their shopping behavior? You can really find a lot of really great information in here. How do they feel about online shopping? So this is a great way to find out people's behaviors, and there's a lot of different things in here. So that's why I highly recommend like digging in and kind of playing around with it and seeing what things are related to food. How are people feeling about food? What media related to food are they watching, listening to, that kind of thing. And same with, you know, hair or how I feel about myself. There's a lot of what they call psychographics in here. And Demographics Now, which is like, there's one in Demographics Now that's like, I'm willing to spend anything when it comes to my appearance, or this is important to me, that kind of thing.
So that just tells you the demographics, doesn't give you the addresses.
Right, so then what you would do, so kind of how you would make all of this work together is that, so Statista is helping you build out how you want to reach them. So if you're looking for a digital campaign, you want to know if they're using digital media. And so you would look in here and go, yeah, they're using digital media. They want to be able to access it here. They want to be able to access it on their TV, their smartphone, across all devices. They want to have good sound. So it helps you figure out where they are digital media wise, and you can even see like what social media they use. Here. And so then you can go and say, okay, now I know who my customer is and that they are interested in online marketing. And then you can go into Demographics Now and see where they are. And then you can go and say, okay, now I know where they are, and now I can pull the addresses from like a reference solutions.
So if I wanted to know who is looking through Facebook or Instagram, this is where I would go.
Yeah,
Statista.
Statista is the one that has like the social media. So we can write like social media by platform type. So for people who are working from home, you can see they obviously Facebook is big, and then we can use Messenger by brand. And so you can see what messengers they're using. And I know apps are in here, some social network usage by brand. And so this is where you can see Facebook highest, Instagram for work from home people. And YouTube. I always tell people not to sleep on YouTube. YouTube is actually the #2 search engine. And that is second to Google. And they call it a search engine because what do you do when you go into YouTube? I do this all the time. I'm like, oh, how do I tie a bow tie? Right? Like, I mean, that's what a lot of what you're doing in YouTube is figuring out how to fix something, how to use something, how to make something. So if you aren't using video and you aren't using YouTube for your digital marketing campaign, you're going to be missing out on a large number of people who are using YouTube for that. And then we have traditional, well, more traditional, I guess podcasts aren't traditional, but you have television, radio, and I kind of put podcasts with radio as well. In Demographics Now and Statista, you can see if you are ready to do a television campaign. You can see what channels people are watching, what genres people are interested in. In Demographics Now, you can see day parts. So if you were going to buy a TV campaign, you would want to know what time of day are they watching, and that you can get using these tools. And then with podcasts, you may want to know, are they even listening to podcasts? And then dive deeper into how often are they listening? Are they willing to pay for podcasts? So I'm going to show you some of that. All right, so as far as genres and channels go, this is where we can pull the Simmons report, and I have these three geography sets, so St. Louis, Little Rock, and Kansas City, because if you were going to do a TV campaign and you wanted to see which market was better, you can tell that by running this comparison report. It's going to compare these three markets, St. Louis, Little Rock, and Kansas City, and you can see which channels they're watching more. So what this is it is an index number. An index number 100 is the average. So anything over 100, they are yay, thumbs up, doing that activity more. So you see this number is like 108. That means they are 8% more likely to watch A&E in that market. Anything under 100 is, yeah, they're probably not as interested. They're less likely to be watching that channel or doing that activity. And so you can go through and see what channels you may want to target. You can see if they are doing pay-per-view or premium channels, movie channels, the day parts. And then down in here, you can also see, which drives me crazy, what sports they have attended, because this has nothing to do with cable or TV. And so I hate that it's under this report, but it's always been under this report. And again, this is why you need, if you are curious, ask a librarian and they can help you. But you can see what sports they've attended or listened to on the radio. Matches a little more to this category, but still not cable TV. This is also good because if you were trying, if you knew, say you had a golf event or something that you wanted to put on, you can compare these markets and say, okay, people are attending golf in Little Rock more than the other two markets, and that's where I would want to focus. If they are, so let's actually go to Statista. So in Statista, we'll clear this out. You can also look at the different TV content preferences. So they have this nice search tool as well in Statista that I really love, because you can actually search a little better, but you can look at TV viewing intensity. You can see if they're watching regular TV, what their television preference is, and it'll show you if they're heavy, light, non-users of television. And then what types of shows that they prefer. So if you were going to run something on like Hulu or regular television, you would be able to say, okay, people who work from home are super into comedies. They just want to laugh. And then if we are looking at podcasts, there's a couple in here that you can look at. So we can see if they're users, how often, what genres, and if they're purchasing. So if my plan was to start a podcast and sell it to people who are interested, who work from home, in this example, then I would say, okay, 41% are podcast users. That's pretty good. But only 7% of those are heavy podcast users. Not as good. They're again super into comedy. Yeah, work from home people need to laugh a little more, I guess. And then, are they purchasing podcasts? Do they want to pay? No, they do not. Only 18% of people are paying. So, okay, maybe I need to rethink my strategy then and get more sponsors and have a free podcast rather than try to charge them for it. Demographics Now also has a little bit of data on podcasts. If you go to their computers, internet comparison, and let's say you were figuring out which market to launch your podcast in between St. Louis, Kansas City, and Little Rock, you could come in here and look at downloads, listen to podcasts in the last 7 days, and you would see that Kansas City is definitely more likely to have downloaded podcasts in the last 7 days. And maybe that is where I would want to launch my podcast versus St. Louis or Little Rock. You can also let's talk about billboards. So we have billboard data as well. So you can see if they're even looking at billboards. Are the people that you are targeting, are they in front of billboards? So we're going to look at whether work from home folks are even affected by billboards. And then once you decide that you want to do a billboard, Demographics Now has traffic data, and you can kind of figure out where you would want a billboard. So that way, when you call the billboard company, you can say, I know I want it on this strip. What billboards do you have along there? So we're going to come in here, and I'm going to type in billboard as my keyword. And I see this non-digital advertising touch points. Great, we're going to look at some traditional. And it says that, where did they see advertising on billboards and public transportation? Okay, 40%. It's second only to television that work from home people were seeing advertising. So, okay, so even though they work from home, they're still driving somewhere and getting exposed to billboards. Great. Now I want to go into Demographics Now and go back to my maps. And I can, if I zoom in close enough on an area, I can actually, what will pop up is something called the traffic count. But you have to zoom in close enough. It won't let you do it if you're too far zoomed out. And you're going to enable it, and you're going to show counts, and then it's going to show you the breakdown, and you're going to want to look at those red dots. And you can zoom in from here and just kind of spread those dots out, but you'll want to see where the mode looks like a lot of red dots through 40, which makes sense. So you'll see the different colors, and then you can pick an area that makes sense for your business, but also makes sense for the viewership of where people are having more eyes on it. And then we have sponsorships. So I know when most people think about sports sponsorships, they think about very expensive sports sponsorships like the Cardinals and the Blues and the Battlehawks and St. Louis FC, but there are a lot of other sport sponsorship partnerships that you could look at. And what you can do is you can see in Demographics Now and in Statista whether or not your market is interested in sports. If you were looking to do a sport partnership. And what is fun about Demographics Now is that it's going to show you different sports that are out there. So college sports and boxing and things like that. And maybe you didn't realize that people in St. Louis love boxing, and you might be able to do some partnerships with community centers or things that are more affordable than these large sports partnerships that you think about. or college sports. We have a lot of colleges in town that aren't, you know, huge. It's not like Mizzou, right? That's going to be expensive too, but you might be able to do a smaller sponsorship with somebody more local who also has sports teams that you wouldn't necessarily normally think about. You can also partner up with organizations. So if you are looking to partner with a nonprofit, I showed you how to pull a list of nonprofits in DemographicsNow, that you can reach out to people that way. And then if you were looking for like a large sponsorship, I'll show you how to pull a list of the Fortune 1000 companies in St. Louis. So if you were throwing a big event and you knew that a lot of these Fortune 1000 companies sponsor events and put their name on things, and you wanted to reach out to those companies, you can find that contact information. So let's talk sports first. So, football, because I know that brings up sports followed by tennis. So looking at our work from home folks, we can see, okay, American football is a big one, baseball, basketball. But yeah, here comes boxing and golf and ice hockey and soccer and tennis. So when you think about sports partnerships, maybe you weren't necessarily thinking about tennis, but there's a lot of tennis courts and a lot of ways you could get involved without, you know, spending thousands of dollars on a campaign. And now, you know, work from home people are interested in some of those sports. You can go over to DemographicsNow and you can pull up that cable report and see which market maybe you would want to do that. Okay, so I know they like this sport, now which market, and you'll decide which market that you want to open in. And I have my market set as St. Louis, Little Rock, and Kansas City. But like I said, in DemographicsNow, you can go down to a census tract. So you could say Chesterfield, Creve Coeur, and Kirkwood. And you could even break it down that way, that you don't have to do it on a large level. That was just what I chose for my example. And then if we go back in here to reference solutions and we go and we revise our search, we can remove a keyword because we don't care about that. But we're going to leave in St. Louis. We're going to take out our square footage. And then we're going to go down here to Fortune 1000 companies. And we're going to only include Fortune 1000 companies. And then you'll see there's 16. And this is where you can then pull that list. You can see that list of those Fortune 1000 companies, and you can reach out to them and see if they would be interested in sponsoring your event. And that is my very short and sweet version of how to market your business like an ad agency.
Great information. Yeah, it was a lot.
It is a lot. Okay, so does anyone who is online have any questions? Thanks, Ro. I like the little confetti. Yay! So the other thing I always like to point out is how many business programs there are across the St. Louis area. So on the 2nd, which I think is Tuesday, I will have a program in here that's called Jumpstart Your Business with Free Data and Resources. Some of that it will be a review of this, but some of it will be other resources that your business can use that isn't related to marketing. And then on the 2nd as well at St. Louis County Library, they're doing an essential resources for entrepreneurs. At St. Louis County on the 9th, they'll have legal office hours for entrepreneurs. That is done by Legal Services of Eastern Missouri. They also come here once a quarter, so we'll have them back. You just missed them in March. but they will be back in July, and that is virtual, but you get to meet with a lawyer one-on-one for 30 minutes and ask questions about your business, and it's great. So St. Louis County has them in May, we'll have them in July. And then we will have the SBDC come here for identify and focus on the right customer. So that's going to be about how you can target your customer and figure out who they are. And then St. Louis County at the end of the month has a Build Your Dream Business, Growing Your Business program. So what kind of questions do you all have? And then that's my email.